I need to really say some things about the state of affairs in Jamaica. Let me just tell you that the most powerful voices in Jamaica, in my opinion, today are women.
Mm-hmm.
We have heard from Jeanette Calder, strong, educated, talented, courageous black woman.
Okay. Okay.
We have heard from Rosalie Hamilton, similarly situated. And there are two people, and we can't forget Miss McIntyre Pike, because she now hold back either. And here she said, listen, enough for the talking. We need to take action now. Couldn't agree with her more.
True, true.
But there are two women that have never been on this program that I want to talk about briefly. One of them, and these women, by the way, they're all my, you know, people say hero, but it's heroin. And not heroin like the drug, but it's Heroine, right? People say hero, but hero is the masculine form of that. But putting that aside, the two women who have never been on this program, and I admire them greatly, they are a source of inspiration for me. One of them is a lady by the name of Pamela Monroe Ellis, who is the Auditor General. Big ups to that lady. Had it not been for that woman, a lot of things coming out we would have never known about it. And by extension, we have to big up Jamp, because what Jamp did was took the raw information, collated it, and put it in a usable product. So you never have to go around and search and search. Everything was just right there for you. So big up to Jeanette Calder. And Dr. Rosalie Hamilton, she was here last week talking about the Constitution. She's coming back. But this lady, I'm bringing her now. Let me tell you a little bit about this lady. I met this lady a few years ago on I think it was a TV program, CVM. And I don't remember the topic we were discussing, but it had to do with, a diaspora a viewpoint and somebody from Jamaica's viewpoint. And it just so happened that she and we agreed. This lady, she's an attorney at law. She extremely experienced. And her experience goes back to a mentor in outside of government, and then she also worked at one point. She did a stint with I believe, the Attorney General's office. Here is something I didn't know about her: that she's a former head girl at Holy Childhood. Didn't know none of this, I mean, I talked to this lady, never know. So it's like, and she's an outstanding orator. When you hear this lady talk, because the program that I was on with her, when I came off, my brethren them called me and they said that to me, say, yeah, did I go there? Them say, oh, who that lady there? I said to them, say, me no know her. I the first me see her. And all of them I watch right now. In fact, one of them I spoke to him yesterday and him say, every time him hear her name, him say, that lady, brilliant. Brilliant woman. Now, she's also very down to earth, despite the things we hear that she speaks well, she know handle herself, like and things like that. But when you talk to her, very down to earth person, very down to earth. She can dine with kings and walk with paupers. I mean, this is what Jamaica should be like. I wish we had more people like her and Jeanette and Rosalia and Diana. Wish we had more people like them. And it shouldn't come as a surprise that some of the most powerful voices coming out of Jamaica, they're coming from women. Because if you go back and look at the pass rate and you look at the people who are in a school, mostly women. Them take education serious, And so, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I would like to bring on, I consider her my sister, a dear friend, a righteous soul, a fighter for Jamaica. Without further ado, Miss Danielle Archer. Danielle, welcome.
I'm looking around and wondering who you're talking about, but I can't mind him. Me was talking about that. I don't see Rosalie on the screen and Jeanette is not there. So
Not know why.
I kind of. There's another Danielle Archer out there. You know, this is the one you're talking to.
That's the. Do you know who I'm talking to? Any Danielle Archer that's listening to me, I them me I talk to.
No, because she could have listened to you too.
No, but me I talk, anybody who will listen to me and in front of me, I them me I talk to.
Oh, you mean it's me? I thank you for those accolades. I'm grateful for it. I'm surprised you didn't know about the latter, but whilst the latter is important, nothing I say and do is as important as simply being Jamaican and wanting the best for Jamaica. There's no accolade that you can ever say or give that is as important as being Jamaican. And I think I walk in the shadows of Rosalie Hamilton, and I walk side by side my sister Jeanette, because what we really want is for a better Jamaica. So everybody have their skill set. I would not want the world to have another one of me. I'd want the world to have a better person. But if we can all use our skill sets and the talents that we have to make Jamaica better, I think that's the precedent that we're trying to set. So thank you for having me on your show. Not because I didn't want to come before, but
that's
I had
fine.
to pull aside a while ago. Notice the background look a little hazy. It's because I've had to pull aside to try to make sure I made my 5 o'clock appointment because I don't want you to trace me.
I'm not trace.
So I make sure I park the car, pull up, take out the internet, and settle up because I had to be on for 5 o'clock.
Well, and I'm alone. And I'm not tracing now. Kevin, you know, see me right to say no.
No, Kevin
DJ
would
Kevin
never
still.
trace me.
Kevin
Would never trace me. It's
no,
all
Kevin
about,
would never tell you same old trace you. But
Yeah,
Kevin
that's not-
tell me same old
you
trace.
can't talk about what I'm going to say. You come in like the people that will try to do that and listen to them.
Look, Danielle, do me a favor. Please tell our audience, for those who do not know Danielle Archer and they just heard what I had to say about her, please give us. Look, the time is yours. Tell us who is Danielle Archer.
Tell them that you're wrong, and I'm just Danielle Archer, a Jamaican who works with one of our many non-governmental organizations, but the only non-governmental organization in Jamaica that's focused on anti-corruption, and that is with the National Integrity Action. That's what I do, and that's my mission at this moment, to get the message out about how Jamaicans can ensure that there is increased accountability and transparency in governance in Jamaica. That's what I'm about. I'm about making Jamaica a better place, putting in place initiatives and encouraging individuals to, one, participate more in the system of governance around you. And that means that if you choose to vote, you know what you're voting for, and you know why you're voting, and you know what it is that you want. Two, to get persons to understand that governance is more than just voting. It is keeping our parliamentarians accountable. And three, ensuring that there's a mechanism in place that ensures that governance becomes a better system in Jamaica. 3 things, only 3 things.
All right. You mentioned national.
Hold on. Rebel freeze.
I'm back. Are you thawed out now?
I know it's really cold up there in Maryland, and he's suffering for it.
He's suffering.
That's got to him.
So
He'll thaw out shortly.
yeah, we'll fix it in a moment.
You know.
Yeah,
maybe it's the same name to the hotel. Maybe it's Pegasus.
You mean
I don't
Pegasus
know.
has finally gotten to him? Them wouldn't freeze him, man.
Oh, really?
well, you know,
They'd have cut the mic, not so much freeze him.
well, we're gonna find out. We're gonna find out in a minute. Since we have you here right now, as I work behind the scenes to bring him back, let's go ahead and talk a little bit about that NGO that you just mentioned.
Right.
Tell us a little bit more about it, please.
All right, so National Integrity Action is a chapter of Transparency International. We work to ensure that we facilitate communications around improving transparency and accountability in governance. And governance not just includes the public sector, but also the private sector. So we want to make sure that we have the best systems in place. We look out and speak out on issues that touch and concern what does not appear to be good governance. And I have recently, I like to use the word recently, but I'm discovering that I'm now old in the chair. So this is my second, I think it's my second year as principal director at National Integrity Action. And through the work that we do, we have just gotten one of what I would say is the best support that we could possibly get to have a pioneering anti-bribery campaign, public education campaign here in Jamaica. The British, as they have done in making contributions to Jamaica, you'd have seen recently that the British has given monies to Jamaica to build up bridges. It's the same British persons, the same government that has made a donation through us asking by way of a proposal to support our anti-bribery campaign. You're freeze too as well, Kevin?
Sorry. What was that? If I'm a what as well?
You freeze as well.
No. I'm not frozen. I'm working on bringing back Rebel into the broadcast.
All right.
So,
all right. I will
Yes.
answer a question whilst you do that. Miss Danielle Archer, it's a great pleasure to get a chance to speak to you. I've been watching you from afar, but I feel so close to you because I believe that what you're doing impacts every Jamaican. And when you speak, you don't speak because you have words, but you speak because you love Jamaica, you respect who you are, and you believe that Jamaica deserve better. And as Mr. Ratigan speak about our women standing up, I want to give you your roses while you're alive, because we tend to give people roses whilst them cannot smell it. So I want you to smell your roses. And I want to say congrats to what you have been doing. My question to you so far, I know that you're going to go down into anti-bribery, but I want to ask this question before you go there. What is corruption? How does it impact people personally? And it also affect infrastructural development in Jamaica.
So true. So true. All right. So let me just clarify something. Mrs. not on my birth certificate. Archer belongs to my father. Calling me Daniel is quite fine.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, Daniel. Go ahead.
All right. So here's where we are. Corruption is a very simple thing, but it's one of those things that, syrup. Yeah. A little bit of syrup in the water can change the entire color. And that is what I'd like people to understand. It's like a little bit of something that you don't like. So we like syrup, but you can also have bad tasting syrup that just contaminate the entire pool. Corruption tends to be like that. You can look at corruption as well as an octopus that has many different tentacles. So it not only changes how things are, but it also have different kinds of different things that you can describe. So it's still one octopus, but the octopus has multiple tentacles. And that's what corruption is. I want us to get to a place where we understand that when we have mismanagement of funds, when funds are unaccounted for, when people use their positions of authority to get positions of authority or influence or money for friends and family, that is corruption. So there are multiple facets. There is nepotism, there's cronyism, there is conflict of interest. All of those things combined to form what we call corruption, illicit enrichment. So now we have so many different areas that we can start this conversation with, and I'll start with the latter. Illicit enrichment arises because oftentimes persons get the salaries, but they're doing other things that are not illegal and or not that they don't have the authority to do. They are making decisions that will allow them to capitalize on an opportunity so that they can have an advantage. And so one of the things that we want to have is to have that conversation about illicit enrichment. That becomes important because the Caribbean at this time is seen as one of the largest regions that has the greatest inflows of dirty money. What's dirty money? Money is for drugs, guns, prostitution. And because of the systems that we have in place, we get these things coming in and they operate to give persons an unfair advantage. You will have an increase in crime, you're going to have much more violence. If you think things scamming bad now, just imagine the opportunities that can come for persons to make their money in a manner that is illicit, illegal. To challenge that, the National Integrity Action has asked for what we call unexplained wealth orders. Meaning, if you don't have a legal explanation for how you get your money, you're going to be in legal troubles. So if you see a man on the side of the road and he not go to work at daytime and he have a nice jelly park up in his driveway, you should be able to ask him, where did you get the monies from to buy that jelly? And utilizing that will allow the society to become a little bit more, to conform to our expectations of doing things the right way. We spoke about conflict of interest. That is a problem as well, because if you're making a law or you're making a decision or you're creating a policy, you really shouldn't have the benefit of that policy. You see me? You understand what I'm saying? And that is something that affects how we do business, that our friends and our family can benefit from a decision that is being made. That does not necessarily mean that you're immune from it. You're making sure that you do a decision for the benefit of your friends and family, but not necessarily for the wider Jamaica. We also talk about nepotism. We've heard before from Madam DPP that nepotism and cronyism, they're not a crime. But you and I see it and know that it is wrong. We know that it is wrong to give our friends an advantage. We know it's wrong that we make a decision and our children can do it. So when we have a justice minister who can say the parliamentarian spouse and children should not declare statutory declarations, it becomes a concern. And it becomes a concern. And many people say, but why? Why you have to know the people in business? Because if I did want the parliamentarian to do something for me, I can give him a little thing and say, don't worry yourself, man, just give it to your son. Because they're not going to. So the son, and when you come out of parliament, when you come out of politics, you can just take it back from the son. We would never know that there's something illicit happening. And we want to ensure that the offices of the parliamentarians, as far as it is humanly possible, remains objective from the influence of big money. Big money can make it equal or create an inequity in the system, which we're currently having, where there are some who will always have and those who don't have will never have. So when you talk about infrastructure, all of these things contribute to infrastructure. Because before you can have the infrastructure, what you have to have, the decision. But who influences the decision? And if the decision is being influenced in a negative manner, it doesn't necessarily mean that the decision is being made to the best of us. So when we decide, you just had my parishion, Diane, on, when we decide to create hotels in some areas, are we doing it for the advantage of that community? Or are we doing it because we have a businessman there who gave us some money for the campaign?
Mm-hmm.
Is the decision being made in the best way for us? Or did we promise to give somebody something if they got something for us? So we're allowing them to take control of the business. It's a concern that we're having, not just in Jamaica, but you can look at our neighbors abroad. Has the government been bought by the technocrats, by the persons who can control AI? Is it a question now that we're not going to be forced, that there's going to be special interest for them alone? What about others? And so being able to ensure that you have a government that is, as far as possible, not conflicted, or augurs, it works best for individuals. Because guess what? Last couple of weeks, we've been having this conversation about money being unaccounted for by the Auditor General. And I agree with Rebel. Miss Monroe Ellis is a star to me. She's not just a heroine. She is one of those persons that epitomizes, exemplifies doing your work as a public servant fearlessly, doing your work as best as you can in a manner that is not just fearless, but fair. So I don't see where you can properly say that she's ignorant or incompetent. And there has never been a twinge of malice. There's no evidence of that.
Can I steal one more question? Because I know Uncle Ratty gonna have some very technical question, but I want to ensure that I echo the sentiments of the young people on the street, or even just older folks on the street that want to able to understand. So this question, where we see you spoke about illicit enrichment, and we're seeing in the public space that the Prime Minister is being held accountable for that by the Integrity Commission. Where, so I'm asking you, for somebody as a professional as you are, and you are in-depthly looking at these things, how does it look and feel to know that the Prime Minister that governs not just me and you, but the entire Jamaica, been caught up in something like this? What is your thought?
There are many different ways to look at that. For somebody like me, I would be shocked, because one of the challenges that I'm having is this is a legislation that was passed by this parliament. This is a legislation that was encouraged. When you look at the Hansard and you see the comments that were made by the current Justice Minister, what you see the comments that were made by the Prime Minister, you understood that they understand that the purpose of what this is. So to have the leader now challenge the integrity of the very commission that they established, these are individuals that they have put in place. These are individuals that they have chosen. And this is a law that they too have made. So it makes me wonder if where we are is a system where the law applies only to some and not to all. And we expected that is other people would get caught and not us. That's a concern for me. And I think most importantly, I don't think it's a good example. It's not a good example. There is one thing to say that you are allowing the law to take its course, but it's another thing to say that the law is wrong because it's applied to me. If it was applied to somebody else, it would be okay. And that's one of the inferences I'm getting from this saga. I'm also concerned because these are questions which I think are to be fairly posed to any member of parliament. I'm concerned because I get the impression that people seem to feel that we're picking on parliamentarians and we're picking on politicians as if they are a special class that is excused from or immune from any form of criticism. And I'm concerned because it sets the wrong example and it gives the wrong message, not just to my young Jamaicans, but it gives the wrong message to our international community. And it challenges the corruption framework. And then it creates now, for me, a greater challenge, because what it tells me is that we are giving lip service to the fight against corruption, but we are unwilling to be warriors within the fight for corruption. And what we need are warriors for corruption. We need fighters for corruption. We need people to set an example when it comes to corruption. We need persons to break it down and make sure that we have the legislation that makes it impossible for us to encourage corruption in any space of our lives. So you're asking me earlier about the infrastructure costs, and this is how I'll connect the two. When we don't have leaders who are warriors for corruption, it makes it appear that when there are questions of corruption surrounding anyone within the public sector, that they will leave without any reprimand, that it's not going to be dealt with seriously. So that when monies are unaccounted for, there will not be any pressure to account for them, particularly if it is that you're on the right side of the political divide. How does this cost us? Let's look at the monies from the municipalities. Big and seriously still, if one school in the community get $1 billion we're missing, we just want you choose one school in your community. Just one school. I not reach a clinic them yet. Just choose one school in your community where you live. Whether a Greenville, Primary, Mandeville, All Age, just choose one school in your community and imagine just for a moment what a school they could have done. Then they'd have $1 billion. Think about it. That the school they could have one computer lab. They could have one science lab. They could have a state-of-the-art library. Oh, and if I'm wrong on all of that, the teacher them could have get better money. Infrastructure that is improperly fixed or repaired or implemented costs us as the Jamaicans. Because when you have Jamaicans who can't fly out for education, can't fly out for healthcare, can't get a good job because them not have the right address or have the right contacts, it go rough and sticky upon we. We enter into a zone where scamming is encouraged because you don't need no qualifications to scam. You just can't use a phone. Because them qualifications thing expensive. And the lifestyle, me not go get that the lifestyle if me I work at one fast food restaurant I serve. Better yet, if me I do call
Or
center.
a hotel. Or a call center.
Or if me work a call center hotel, me can't own jail.
Mm-hmm.
So it not make it. Come if I go get up one morning and have people talk to me in a particular way. And I raise that because even though we have this conversation about corruption, we also have to have a conversation about how we view certain things in life. How we view honest work. As a society, we look down on our plumbers and our carpenters and everybody wants a lawyer. But carpenters and plumbers are just as integral to our society as a lawyer or a doctor. In fact, carpenters or plumbers get to migrate much quicker than lawyers and doctors because everywhere a bill. And if we teach our people money management and how it is to earn money and budget, then you find that there'll be a greater aptitude now for earning and working because we're now creating that culture. So infrastructure development can allow for us to have the proper resources to train our young people to understand certain values. So we can take it time because we are giving them the resources. So when you don't account for funds, you choose to deny a particular area of funds that they need. So we can look at the monies that were allotted for the social welfare programs that have gone missing. How many more persons could have gotten better homes or given better educations? Or we could pay our teachers just as much as we're paying our parliamentarians. I'm just saying.
Mm-hmm.
Infrastructure, when we talk about our roads, look here. You and I both know that a little drop of rain does not damage a road. Little toops of rain can't create the jacuzzi when we are driving on.
Mm-mm.
The jacuzzis are created because rather than putting 1/4 of the asphalt, we are putting a teaspoon.
Mm-hmm.
But we're not, we're so into ourselves that they don't appreciate that corruption arises because we're not supervising. And a man a collect for supervise, but in depth on our next job. Kind of hustle. And we say it all right.
Yeah.
Kind of hustle. Yeah, so the system work. So what I want to do, I want people to understand that we can't just blame the politicians for corruption. We also have to be responsible for how we look at corruption. Corruption is not a disease that is exclusive to some people and some people just now go get it. Corruption is a virus that we all can get like COVID.
Mm-hmm. So true.
So infrastructure is connected to policy. Policy is connected to how we perceive and our behavior. And so when you ask me about the Prime Minister challenging the legislation and saying things that have been said to make you question whether or not the investigation is being done in a fair manner, I think people have a right to question what go on. So I don't know. For you, I'm a little bit in a corruption space. I can tell you that we're laughed at. Because there are persons who say, "Are you serious?" People are asking you, "What is illicit enrichment?" Illicit enrichment is not a crime, and just by the words "illicit," that should tell you something. People find it odd that persons who should know are saying, "Oh, we didn't know that we're investigated." When people ask us to explain our income, you know, it makes me feel like I'm spitting in the wind, because here I am saying, yeah, we understand, and we have a great we have persons who are willing to build up a corruption framework, but at the same time, the attacks on the IC makes you wonder if there's an understanding of how important it is. That you say something and your words not meeting what is being said, it gives the wrong impression.
It does. Thank you ever so much for that. I know Mr. Ratigan have a lot of questions, and I also know
The
that
Ratigan's out now.
so I'll yield the floor to the panel. Thank you very much.
I sent him some South Florida warmth.
Okay.
So
Could have done better, you know. I could have sent him some sunshine from this side of the area, but Florida was closer. So
Yeah,
I'm closer. Rebel.
we're not hearing
Rebel, you see, him still freezing up because the mic full, so you can't hear nothing.
No, I unmute him and him go back and mute himself. Tell me why.
His
again.
hands are frozen. It's still really cold.
Yeah, man, take your hands off it. All right. Go on now. Wait, you're still muted.
He's still muted. I'm telling you, he's still frozen.
It's a
Listen,
flying horse. It's a flying horse.
All right, this is where, you know, have serious concerns as to whether Pegasus has taken a ride.
No, he muted the mixing board also.
Oh, yes, sir.
Yeah,
When
he
you
muted the
coded
mixing
this stuff.
Yeah, when you're cold and frozen,
We're not hearing you.
warm up yourself. Some chocolate tea can be sent.
We're not hearing you, Rebel. We're not hearing you.
Some good old coffee. Coffee.
So I need to do more.
Coffee tea in 9 nights. It's too late.
Hold on, Danielle. You know, I hear you talk with such passion, Danielle, and I wonder a couple of things. What took you in this direction, and how many friends you have?
That question.
Rebel is a friend. Rebel is a friend.
That means you don't.
So why him get up at that time when you said
Yes, then disappear from the site. All right. I think we are the sum total of our experiences. And it's a good question. I've never thought of what led me here. I am a nationalist. I've told persons that I will choose to serve in an area of need. So I'm a nationalist. My background is in politics. So I do have a first degree in political science and international relations. And I grew up in an area where it was encouraging to be Jamaican. You know, I had a little red book, Civics for Young Jamaicans. And for me, that song, I'm not going to sing it for you because I cannot sing to save my life. But there is a song that speaks about Jamaica, the land we love, and the green isle of the windy Indies. And every time I sang that song and every time I hear my anthem, I just feel this kind of love for the country that I'm a part of. And you get a sense of where you're planted, you are to grow. So I think my passion has grown over time in this particular area because you see the inequities. You see the inequities caused by the mismanagement of funds in a healthcare system that everybody's talking about how good the regional hospital is in Mandeville. But when you go there, you see how people suffering. You schools, and you recognize that the schools they don't have what they should have. But most importantly, you know that there are people who want to speak. And they want to speak out about the things that are happening. And they are afraid to speak out. Or they don't feel that they have the right words to speak out. And my gift is a gift of God. So if there's anything that I can do, I lend my voice to those who need it. I lend my voice to issues that need to be spoken about or for. And I tell myself that that is my talent. That is what I'm supposed to do. To speak up for those who can't speak. To speak on issues that are not sexy. To highlight where I think things can be better. And you ask the question about friends. I think you criticize your friends more. If you're a Harry Potter fan, you will remember that scene in Harry Potter where Dumbledore said, and he gave the award to Neville, and he says, one of the hardest things to do is to stand up to your friends.
True.
Yes.
True.
So criticizing is it's not, and I don't think, I think people see you or hear you, and just understand that you strive to do things the right way. And we've had experiences. I've had experiences in my almost 20 years as being a lawyer where I have seen what it means to have the impact of corruption. So my experiences as an attorney have led me to become so passionate about anti-corruption activities.
One, you know, you just
Yeah.
said something.
Oh, welcome back. You're defrosted.
Yes, you just said something that got me perked up. You said
I see.
anti-corruption. You said anti-corruption activities. No, here's the thing: you can't have a population, and you know that is willing to address these issues if they don't know what they're supposed to address.
True.
What do I mean by that? When you have the junior minister in the Ministry of National Security, the Honorable Juliet Cuthbert Flynn, saying that companies, one company, she mentioned the company was being investigated for anti-corruption. Then you see where we're going. She's the number 2 person in charge of national security, and she doesn't know the difference between corruption and anti-corruption efforts. So right there, we have a problem. Now, you mentioned something again, and I want to put it up on the stage here. This. You mentioned the Hansard, right? Now, here's what happened with Hansard. I went and I looked at Hansard for the what's it called? The Corruption Prevention
Yeah.
Act of 2000.
Yeah.
And then it was very revealing because the Prime Minister is trying to get rid of it. And he was I think he got in Parliament 1997, 1998. He was there when they discussed it and no issues. And as a matter of fact, we have Mr. Delroy Chuck, Minister Delroy Chuck, who at that time said that he fully supported it. No, him no support that at all. But then I got this yesterday as a result of an ATI. This is the Hansard proceedings for the Integrity Commission Act of 2017. And I just want to do something. And you know, Daniel, I have to be frank with you. I have some serious reservations about this act. I mean, I've seen some loopholes in this thing. Like you can drive a truck through it.
One of the things you must remember, Rebel, is that, and I agree with you, that it's not the perfect act. But one of the things you must remember is that the act came about because it took a lot of negotiations between both parties. So what you're seeing and what has been is not that which one would have said you'd want it to be the perfect legislation, because both parties had to agree and they both had challenges agreeing. So that which was passed because some things were taken out and some things were allowed to be left. Some things were tweaked to ensure that it received bipartisan approval.
All right. Now here's the thing. Agreed. They said that in the meeting. They said, look, we're not going to let the perfect be the enemy of the good. It's good to have this legislation. If we struggle to get it perfect, we won't get there. So let's put it out. And then they said, within 2 years, we're gonna deal with all of the issues that we have. This was 2017. They said that. And here it is, we're in 2025.
Right.
Now I want to show you something. I had to highlight it. I didn't highlight it in green. You know, Kevin always tell me whenever it's something that the government say, and Kevin there? Oh. Yeah, Kevin said to me, whenever it's something that the government say, put it in green. That's what he said to me, because so I did that. But this one, Daniel, this was so frightening that I said, no, I can't put this in green. I'm going to put this in a red.
Oh.
I want to show you something. Look at, there's a gentleman in Parliament at the time named Mr. Fagan. I don't know him, but he recognized what the point
Colin
that you.
Fagan.
Huh?
Colin
He
Fagan.
Okay. He recognized the point that you brought out, saying that you can avoid reporting requirements by providing. If they didn't put the piece in about your wife and your children having to report their assets. If they didn't put that, then you could actually skirt the rules by giving things to them, right? He pointed out something here that and when I went through the thing, and I've mentioned it several times over and over again as a loophole that should be closed, and it has not. But he mentioned it, and if you look at the rest of the report, Nobody addressed it. Here's what he said. He said he's talking about subsection 38, subsection 4, and it says they were talking about parliamentarians who receive a gift in more than 50,000. Then you have to report it. Later on, they changed that and they said no, it's 100,000. So right now, as it stands, you can give a parliamentarian a gift of up to 100,000 Jamaican dollars, and there's no reporting. So if the parliamentarian have 10 people around him just get that, and he can skirt the rules. But look at what this man says. This piece here, which is even more telling. He said, right there, it said, but let me big it up here. And we're going to use this later because we'll deal with the Prime Minister on something. But I'm saying it does not include such gift as may be prescribed or any personal gift that is received by a parliamentarian or public official from a relative of the parliamentarian or public official. That's what the law says. And he says, how do you explain that? Because I was just thinking that all that could happen now is that somebody just give the relative some, and then the conversation veered off into the amount of money. But what happened here in the Integrity Commission Act, there's a provision that says that if your relatives, if them give you a gift, you don't have to declare that, regardless of the amount. It says you don't have to declare that, and it's still there to this day. It's still there, and I can't figure out why is it that here it is. This man alluded to it.
Pause. Stop, Rebel. What did you just say a while ago?
He alluded to it.
No, you say you can't figure out why.
I can't figure out why. No, I figure out why. I know why. I know why. But what happened is that people, that's what I'm saying. That's why what we do around here, we try to educate people so that they can carry the message as well. So that it's not just we alone in our circle. We see it and we understand it and we appreciate it for what it is and criticize it. We say we want to push it out so other people see, because a lot of people in Jamaica, I'll go out on a limb and I'll say this, that 90% of Jamaica, they've never read the Integrity Commission Act from page 1 to the end of it. They've never read it, much like the Constitution. So that's why I find that it's incumbent upon us to do this kind of thing and explain to people what's actually going on, because they're not going to do it for themselves.
True.
A lot of them can't do it, and a lot of them don't want to do it.
True.
And a lot of them do it, but they don't understand. So then we have to do it. But here's the question I want to ask you. Let me move this. The question I want to ask you is that in 2020, there was something called the Crime Monitoring Oversight Committee,
Right.
CMOC. They came up with this initiative to transform the JCF and do a whole bunch of things with the judiciary and the penal system. And one of the things that they talked about was this anti-bribery, or you mentioned it earlier, unexplained wealth orders.
Right.
They were supposed to pass that law. They said, we're going to work diligently. We're going to work collaboratively pass this law. And we had the new president of this CMOC on, the gentleman who's affiliated, I can't remember his name. He's affiliated with a guardsman, former military, Mr. Overton, George Overton, right? And we asked him about that, saying, wait a minute, and he and Mr. Distant, the previous president, they agreed that, yes, we're disappointed that the government hasn't seen it fit to push this piece of legislation through.
Right.
What's your take on it from the NIA's perspective?
Well, we have always asked for it, but to go back to what you just said about the loophole, you need bipartisan agreement. Now, if it is that we are already struggling to accept what illicit enrichment is, and if it is that we are already struggling to accept that we should not be giving any monies at all to any relative, it should be 0, not 100, no gifts at all. If we're already struggling with the capacity of understanding why you have to have statutory declarations, do you understand why nobody is going to support an unexplained wealth order? Because an unexplained wealth order means that your friends, your business associates, your colleagues may be served with one, and it may have implications for you. And as I have said in December, when I was asked about it by the Gleaner, nobody wants to bail that cat. Everybody's looking at their political future. And let me say this without fear of condemnation. Our political system is not created to have what we call one-term parliamentarians. Our political system, as we have crafted it in practice, creates lifelong politicians.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody goes into parliament now thinking that I'm going to do my part and hand off my baton. Everybody goes in because they understand that me can hold on panda seat here and I will do whatever I can to hold it. I'm not going to ruffle the boat because the leader said him not going to support this. So me's not going to talk on it because I want to either A, get a seat in cabinet, B, get some position within a particular ministry or entity, or C, I want to make sure I win my seat again. So I'm not going to rock the boat. So if we all have a motive that is peculiar to ourselves, wherein the focus is not on the people themselves, there is not going to be one person who is willing to make that sacrifice as a leader, who is going to say, this is what's going to happen, come what may, with my political career.
Yeah, you know what, Daniel, fruit the pond in the chat says, all right, how do we change that?
Public education, greater public participation and agitation. And I'm happy he asked that question. And that's one of the reasons NIA is having this public awareness campaign on anti-bribery legislation. Now, NIA can't pass legislation, you know. It's government can pass legislation. But if we give the people the information and we show people how an anti-bribery legislation will create a stronger anti-corruption framework, we do two things. We give you the information and we're agitating you to get to be part of the solution. How do you become a part of the solution? After you know, you utilize the tools that JAMP has provided to you. A majority of Jamaicans just want to know how they can be part of it. Some are great at protesting. But if you're going to video the protest and a man going to tell us that we're going to charge you, some people going afraid. There are some people who are petrified of being caught underneath their beds. There are others who are going to tell you, I'm going to lose my job. I'm going to have no more forget. But there are some who are willing to write letters. There are some who can use the JAM tools and send off a letter to the minister or to the member of parliament. There are those who can sign petitions. And there are those who can give honest and true information to their neighbors and friends. You see, when people start knowing and understanding that they can be part of the change, they can pressure the MP to pass the legislation. And let me be clear, people are of the view that members of parliament don't have the time or the interest, and attending parliament is really not important because you can't really make a change. You do have a voice. And if you really serve the people, you won't be concerned about what the leader thinks of you. You are more concerned of what it is to do, what you need to do to represent your constituency. Right now, there are not many members of parliament who need their constituency. There are not many members of parliament who take back the message from their parliament, from their constituents, and this is a law that they want. If you look at our history of passing laws, we've specialized in amending old legislation. Right now, we're using a Limitations Act that is 18 something. Limitations means that it is what sets when you can file a claim. Our 1800 law we are use. We don't use nothing modern. Because our parliamentarians don't have time to pass laws. Because they don't have time to go to parliament. And they're busy doing other things. This rolls into the conversation of Rosalie Hamilton saying the system not working for us. It means that we need to start asking and being part of the change. We not only go to the talk shops, because they're really just talk shops, but we do more. We organize our community. We have neighborhood watches. We agitate. We're in an election season. You want to tell me, so when the money are knock on your door, you not ask them, so what you mean about this? You support the anti-bribery legislation. What about with unexplained wealth order? How we hold you to account? So, brother, me just go vote for you, so I mean I go see you till next year. How me go sure say you go come back? Him I go give you one talk, But you can't say to me the year what me I go tell you, say. Me will vote for you if me hear about the recall. What you gonna do about that? But as a people, we make things slide. We can get parliamentarians who promise us an impeachment bill, who promise us unexplained wealth orders, who promise us that within X number of days certain things will be done. And when the days pass, we fail to hold them accountable. So what can be done is for us as citizens, not just to talk, but when people go out to demonstrate, that you join them. That when people write a letter, you write back another letter and say, me agree with that the letter there. If you're on Twitter and you like social media, when they tear up the people them who are asked the honest questions and who are out there representing what you are thinking that you're fearful of talking about, or you may feel that you don't have the fancy words, you go up on Twitter too and tell them, say, believe that. Can me agree? I'm just saying that there are many ways that you can skin a cat.
But
And
then
you can't
have
just leave it up to just some people. You have to decide. It's either no or never. Eminem said, one moment, one shot is just the last opportunity. You gotta make it. This is our moment. This is our last stance. So if as a people you don't see it important to get out and vote, to go and ask what it is I'm voting for, or better yet, to start some kind of community meeting in the bar shop on the community side, on the wall, and start bringing some people and say, Daniel, come hold a reasoning with me now. Me want to understand how this go. I'm available.
Daniel, you talk about various ways of patriots getting involved, holding parliamentarians accountable, and you spoke about the lobbying efforts. You spoke about as a constituency, not just as an individual, but as a group of people. And I just want to show you, they said every journey starts with the first step, and every great idea started in the mind of a person. And I've been telling our people week in, week out that we need to do these things. We need to do the letter writing campaign. We need to support, as you just said, rightly so, support protests, support the letter writing campaign, talking as a community, not as an individual, but as a community to your parliamentarian, because there's strength in numbers. And if we don't see it and do it as a united force, it's going to be difficult. Let me just show you something that I got yesterday. Right, and this is a story that we're gonna do. We're planning to do it today, but I don't know if we'll get to it. Here it is. Sure, you never said this.
I saw something about it on your show earlier when I was logging on. I see. Very interesting.
All right. Now let me just tell people what this is. Remember, I've been telling you that our esteemed DPP, I'm not, forget about the labels right now, whether she's acting or she is, or, Ms. Paula Llewellyn. If you recall, we complained to the General Legal Counsel, and we were encouraging people to file. Only one person saw it fit to file alongside with me. Only one person. Big up yourself, Roland, from the UK, and Debbie. That couple, they're the only, they filed the second one. Only two people. Who do we have problems with the DPP and what she said and what she did? Right? Everybody have problems with it, but nobody say, all right, now going to step out and deal with it. Anyway, Rattigan did it. And I got this letter last night, and it came from the GLC. And see what they said, dear Mr. Rattigan, please see the attached letter with affidavit of Miss Paula Llewellyn and Jeremy Taylor. The matter is scheduled to go to a meeting of the disciplinary committee on 25th of January, which is today. They sent this to me last night.
All right.
You will hear from us in due course. Now, if this is the disciplinary meeting, there's a huge problem here, because I did my research and I found out that they can't have it unless the complainant is there and evidence is submitted and submissions are made later.
Pause. Did you get a Zoom link with that? Because usually if you're overseas,
yes, them not give me no Zoom link. So
You
them
didn't
give
get
me
the
a
Zoom link?
Zoom link. So them give me a hold on there. Wait there, Kevin. Help. Oh, so them see me, huh?
Yeah, but sometimes so let me disclose, part of my job is to do work at the General Legal Counsel on behalf of litigants who take matters there, who have matters there. And from my experience, they usually, if you're outside the jurisdiction, they usually send you a Zoom link for you to be able to log in for the appearance and for the hearing. So
Right.
you didn't get one?
Get
So let
what?
me ask, is this response?
No, man.
This is the hearing that is going to be happening today? And if so, which due course is that I'm going to hear from?
Yeah.
Which course?
No, man. Hold on. So usually you would have gotten the Zoom link, and usually you would have appeared by Zoom before the panel, and they would then, when you got this, now you'd have perhaps said to them, as the lawyer you are, I just got this, so I need to review it to respond. If it's not a mentioned date, it would be a date for the trial, and that is what you would hear from. But I'm not sure, because normally you don't have a Zoom link.
Well,
Oh,
there's no Zoom link, and they send it to me. Look on the time, them send it. Them send it to me 4:28 yesterday. You know what time you get home? I left my house from, I had a meeting with a client.
Well,
I left
office
my-
communications, technically, that's after office hours. So you wouldn't be expected to have seen that, would you?
Right. No, and I got home 10 o'clock last night. I left my house from 12:30 p.m. and I got home at 10 p.m. And this is what I came across. And I said, wait a minute, they're telling me that the matter is tomorrow.
Oh no. So you
Which
didn't
is-
even get adequate notice.
No. So I wrote them back already this morning and I said, listen,
keeping
I
the
need to tell me more about this procedure. Right? Need to tell me more about this procedure. And the thing about it is that this gentleman here, because me not done with them, you know. This gentleman here, Mr. Jeremy Taylor, I don't know what be sting him, because my thing was with the DPP, and all of a sudden him come up now and him put up affidavit, and him a tell the people him don't know me and how me get involved in this and blah blah blah, and him a mention this case that I referred, Gleaner versus Michael Manley, which stands for the proposition that if there is taint, then you dismiss the whole jury and come up with a new jury. Pick a jury from the jury pool. And him talk about that. But Kevin, hold on there. I wish part of the thing there. What the thing there? Let me show the people. Right, this Kevin. I need that.
Which one of the thing them?
Sita. Hold on there. Sita no, right? Me don't know where him come from. All right. This is what I put in the thing. I said, wait there. All right. In a surprising twist, the DPP revealed that this was not her, quote, first time dealing with jury tampering, end of quote. In fact, she stated that it happened on several occasions and, quote, we were prepared to take our chances, end of quote. This is very concerning, and we're left to ponder whether the true administration of justice was subverted by the DPP's decision. Then, so that's another thing where I'm saying, look, the way she handled the trial violated several canons or several aspects of the canon. And then with this thing here, where she said we deal with jury tampering all the time. Which one did the Kevin? What the thing there? The one with what name? The interview with Cliff Hughes. I want people to sit and then I'm going to show them something. Away there.
1 second. Yeah, I just got disconnected from you.
All right. Well, Kevin, I'll look for that. All right. Well, Kevin looking for that. Let me just put up about this thing here with this gentleman here, Mr. Can you go deal with him, you know?
Taylor.
Mr. Taylor, you go deal with him. Him jump in now, you know, and him start defend her. I don't know what him, you know him say, trade back enough, you know, open it. I don't know why I'm going to open this thing I know, because no, my attention now gone straight to him. And what I got now is that me I got deal with them through the Services Commission. Because him now a defender, me no mention him, so him I try divert my attention, but me no easily divert it. Me I got deal with the two of them. Because where him do, I want to play where the thing them. I just want to play it so that people can hear how me leave this man alone, and this man now come now and start run up him mouth, but him don't know Rattigan, and him almost like him I say me not have no standing, like him I say Rattigan was not part of the case, and where Rattigan him man up himself and I come ask questions and blah 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 and file all. We are gonna show him something. You find it there, Kevin?
Right there.
Which part is there? Oh, yeah,
Right
so
there.
all right. People want to listen to this. I'm going to show you something. Want to listen to this.
Llewellyn's
The
shocking comments
discussions.
on Vibes Cartel Privy
Yes,
Council
the
appeal.
heat from the Vibes Cartel Privy Council ruling continue. And this morning, for the first time, the DPP was responding since the judgment came down last Thursday morning. And she was asked by Tona and Ricardo about the advice she gave to the judge in the trial after it was revealed that there was an attempt to bribe the jurors.
DPP, having been told that all of your jurors in 2014 had been offered a $500,000 bribe, why did you not advise the judge that it was probably best to dismiss the jury, which was now obviously tainted?
You see, you are now trying to get me to discuss the matter, and I told you that I didn't wish to.
No, but certainly this point, DPP, is important because here the law lords are saying you advised the judge that you were prepared to proceed even though you knew that the entire panel, 11 jurors, the forewoman told you, had been offered bribes. Wouldn't that mean in your judgment, DPP, that the entire jury, as the law lords have now found, was contaminated and should have been terminated or discharged?
Well, first of all, I am not the judge.
True, but you gave advice that you were prepared to proceed, and what I'm trying to understand.
We were prepared to proceed.
But why with that? Why were you prepared to proceed with a jury that was contaminated?
No. All the other factors, that some of which I cannot go into in terms of.
So you were thinking about cost. You were thinking about how long the matter had been going.
We were also thinking of security issues. There were a lot of other issues that we cannot go into the public domain. And what our information from the foreman was, what she was saying, was that all of the attempts had to do with acquittal. Clearly, if it had been the other way, we would have, clearly, given the overriding objective of any case, which is fairness to the accused. But what would have been perhaps planted in the mind of the jurors is, okay, you need to acquit. And remember that these persons, at least two of them, are very famous. So it would have been, as far as the prosecution, when we discussed it, we would have been at the ones at a great disadvantage. This is not the first time.
But with the greatest respect, DPP, that's not persuasive, because what I want you to focus on is the fact that the process now had been corrupted and contaminated, and you advised the judge that you were comfortable proceeding with a contaminated and corrupt process.
It's not the first time that I have had to deal with jury tampering.
And be that as it may, in the exercise of your judgment, why did you not see it fit to bring to an end a matter that had been corrupted?
After 64 days of trial?
Isn't the interest of protecting the impartial trial greater than the length of time that had elapsed?
I agree with you on paper, but I have done other cases where there has been jury tampering to the great negative of the prosecution. I have seen cases, I've seen jury inquiries where the juror, having been questioned, it was quite clear that it was either an accused person or an accused person's relative that approached the juror. And the juror was able to indicate to the court that it did not make any difference. He would still be able to have an impartial situation in his mind. I have had the experience. I've prosecuted many cases. And when asked, I have indicated that we don't have any problem. So in other words, we are prepared to take our chances and just try to make sure that you have a very powerful address. But this, what happened in a couple of the cases I've dealt with, didn't happen during summation. It happened before we got to summation. So I have had the experience before of jury tampering. And I have been asked before, what is my view, being the prosecutor in the matter? And even after the inquiry, it's a judgment. It's quite clear that you don't know if the juror is telling you everything about the encounter with the relative of the accused, but you are willing to take the chance nonetheless. So it has happened. I mean, both myself and Mr. Taylor, who was the prosecutor, we didn't drop from the sky. It's not the first case that we are both having to deal with. And in our experience, we have had to deal with cases where you have issues arising.
Let me stop it there, so. You hear what she say? Me and Mr. Taylor deal with them cases. So, when we want Mr. Taylor, I don't know why you go pick up people bag of trouble, you know. Because she name you. She name you. And so just prepare yourself, you know. Just prepare yourself for the complaints and we're gonna come. Cause me nah stop. Me nah stop until we get justice for the Jamaican people. And this is not justice. If you do it because of the prosecution or the defense, it don't make a difference. It's not supposed to happen. It's not supposed to happen. And we don't know. And this is just what you are tell us. So we don't even know. And if you go back and if you them fears, you know, they might tell me said this matter, the reason why them proceed with it was because it's a matter of public interest. Then them tell me said me you shouldn't have no interest. Like me are not part of the public too. Me are not Jamaican. This it a circle right back to the no standing foolishness. But we just want them know, and I just bring this up as an aside, Daniel, because this is going to be problematic. First of all, procedurally, it's a problem because you send me something after business hours and tell me say it happen the next day. You know, give me, you know, you have robbed me of the opportunity to present my case. And I think that maybe if what I think it is, if them really have a meeting today to discuss this issue, this complaint that I filed against the DPP, they have a hearing. If that is the case, it's a cook-up thing. It's a cook-up thing, and I'm sitting back now, and I'm expecting, I'm highly anticipating that they're going to say we don't find anything wrong with her behavior. Nothing that she did was wrong, and we're not get a chance to say something. So,
or they could allow you to have something to say. I think you should just. I'm a little bit surprised that you wouldn't have gotten a Zoom link, to be fair. So that to me is a question, because normally I'm aware that they would have sent a Zoom link. So that needs to be clarified. That needs to be clarified. I highly doubt, given who you are and the fact that you are so vocal, that they would take that step of not having it heard. I think they would, at the very least, give you an opportunity to be heard. I think that would be wise.
No way it could be the hearing. Just so whatever happening today, happening all day today. There's no time given for the start of this thing, so it can be.
Oh well, I think it is also possible. So, guys, I'm just putting on my legal head and the hat. It's also possible that they would recognize that he was not properly notified, because I would expect them to accept that he would not have been properly notified and to give you a further date to say it's adjourned. But I understand your concern that it would be laid before them today and you would not have had an opportunity to be present. And that should be concerning to any litigant. That is fair, and that is a concern. It's fair to say, why would you have been getting this message so late and not earlier? And if it is given to you late, why would you not have been given the proper means to attend or an opportunity to attend? And if you had attended, and if the matter is even adjourned, you would question what was said and why it is that you weren't present to hear what was said. And I perfectly understand that.
Well, I'll move on. We'll leave that right there. So, but me just want the people them know say we're on the thing, you know, because at 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning, you know, we are sending off our ATIs, you know, because at them time that we do most of our thinking, we don't have no distraction and we have clear focus and we just do it. In fact, I tell you what, they're so distracted that I send off, I don't want because it's so embarrassing. I sent off this week, I sent off a couple of them to the Prime Minister's office, and the person who responded to me, somehow she mixed them up. She sent me some things where some other people probably ask or something where she wants to think about. But when I went back and look, I never asked them questions there. And she you know, she should document them and say, yes, you asked this question, this question, this
Everybody
question.
afraid of you. Everybody afraid of you. So them all answer what they not ask. Oh, I apologize for her. It's out of fear. She doesn't answer you because she's afraid of you. So sometimes I say, go.
No, nobody afraid of me.
I'm petrified of you, brother.
Right. But let me ask you a question now.
Because you know I'm about to leave you, right? Because
I know. Let me ask this question before you go. Danielle Archer, Esquire, is now Minister of not justice, legal and constitutional affairs.
Me?
Put yourself in a position. Just for the sake of this hypo, right?
This part is called Let's Roll Play.
My heart a flat. Hold on. Sorry. Yes, you were saying? I'm not sure if you're looking for my park or what you just said. But
all
yeah.
right. Yeah, you're now put yourself in the position of Minister of Legal and Constitutional Affairs. I know you have this constitutional reform bill to deal with. Open-ended question. How are you going to deal with it?
Before I make a decision about whether I'm going into phase 1, 2, 3, or 4, or whether or not it's going to be a phased basis, I would want to have had a public education campaign amongst all Jamaicans so that they understand what the current law is, what the current constitution is, and also to take into consideration what their main concerns are and were. Once I've done that assessment and created a feedback loop and created some kind of mechanism coming from the different counties, the different parishes, as well as the different stakeholder groups, not just the lawyers or the doctors, but the farmers, the teachers, persons who are domestic workers. Once I've gotten a feedback from every sector in the society, I would then have those sectors decide who they want their leaders to be on this panel or this grouping. I would then take that information and then decide what it is that I would tackle first. So I would do my massive public education campaign, and I would do my public education campaign like how we attacked COVID-19, going to particular areas, ensuring that they understood what the current constitution says. It's almost like I would have given another shot at civics, because the constitution is not just a law. What this constitution is also doing is giving us an understanding of how we want to operate as a society. So it would demand of me such an extensive public education campaign that I would have to twin it as well with a civics education, so that when I speak, people understand what I'm asking them about a president, what it means to have a prime minister, what it means to have a different kind of president, an executive president, what the functions are. And it was after I've done that massive education campaign, then I would use the information that I've gotten to create a decision-making platform as to what to do first, what to do next. It wouldn't be just for me or the political directorate, because as legal and constitutional minister, I appreciate that what I am doing now is simply guiding a team towards making a decision for a generation 50 years from now. So that would be what I would have in my mindset. It's not about politics. It's not about being the first president of the republic. It's not about being the first person to craft the modern constitution. It would be, how can I create a society that is so far different and highlights the best qualities of Jamaica, that gives us the best possible way to succeed. I would not just be focusing on what other constitutions have done or said. I would be focused on making a constitution that is curated. You hear my big word? Curated to the culture of Jamaica the expectations of the people and to also solve the problem of apathy and the lack of interest in national affairs. If it so pleases you, that would be what I would do in my
Uh, but listen, but,
ideal of
all
a
right,
legal and constitutional
but
minister.
but here's the thing, Daniel, that wasn't done. So now you have this problem now, and you have to fix it. Now I'm the prime minister. I said, Daniel, listen, you're over here. You have to go fix this thing. Yeah. But before you answer that question, I want Jamaica and Kevin jump in because I know you have to leave, and I just keep that question in the back of your mind. It's an easy question that, but we just want Jamaica and Kevin get a chance to ask you a question just before you leave.
Oh, thank you. Thank you again, Daniel. I tell you, you get the job. You get the job of Minister of Legal and Constitutional Affairs in my book. And I know a lot of people will be giving you that job because
Heart of flutter. It's humbling. It's humbling. I never thought I'd be so considered. Thank you so
Number
very
of friends, let's just go down, Shata.
welcome here where critical thinkers are and bright minds like yours come to grace the space and more people can learn. So the approach that you said that you would take, it's phenomenal. We have seen in Jamaica the process so far pitch patch because they act like they want to engage people, and when people start having too much questions, the right questions, then they are being shut down and you get off answers and you get a bit of a pushback. And so they have moved to the process where they are putting on their shoes and then putting on the socks. And you have said no to that. You're saying that you're going to ensure that you refresh the body.
Well, that would be the best approach for me, I'm thinking, because remember, and this is what a lot of people don't understand and appreciate. We haven't had civics in schools for many years. So many Jamaicans don't understand the role of government. Two, our political parties are both to be blamed. They have created what I call they have created a mass of disinformation and over expectation. So what we expect of our members of parliament, how parliament operates, is done for the benefit of a few. So we don't have the civics. We have a political system that is taking advantage of voters. And in a scheme where it's all about who can sound better and be better and the legacy that one wants to leave behind, we have started it because remember now, this is an ongoing process. But you want to be the person who gets it done. So you're running. This is not and so we don't recognize that changing the constitution is a marathon. It's not a sprint.
So my questions for you, it's a two-part question. What is your strategy to engage and educate people about? I'm moving away from you already getting the job of legal and constitutional minister. I'm moving to coming back to in your capacity.
The real world now where I operate. I can't stop having hallucinations.
But let me tell you, you win in our book. This is the type of representation. Well, we have books.
You're not for run. You're not for run. We are Gil. You're not for run.
See, we have books in and it's very thick. So in our books, you have one. Yeah. Anybody else want to say anything in our books, right? Moving back to your capacity now. I'm asking. You come back because I write my book. I'm asking what strategy you would take to engage and to educate people about corruption playing part in governance, and also what programs and initiatives that you have available at this time to get young people or anybody in Jamaica, because not just young people.
All right. So let's start with the anti-bribery campaign. This is where we're gonna get all it. This is like the aerobics class. This is where you can get things done. So it's an initiative where we're gonna be educating our fellow colleagues, our fellow friends, our families about what is bribery. What does it mean? We're gonna have pop-up conversations where you can join, tell me what you want to do, and you take the message from me and take the baton and go somewhere else and carry out the message. Whatever information you're gonna need to share, we're gonna provide it for you. We're gonna try and use the mass media, social media, by giving out this information on all those platforms. We want to be able to create a space. So in addition to the pop-up shops and the seminars, we want to have that conversation about what it means to have nepotism and cronyism, what it means to say pass and christening pitney fuss. One packy come, hand go packy come, meaning say you have to give me something to do. You just stay up and cow back and can't cut cow skin. The little proverbs that we have and how we sit down and how we set up, you recognize that when you tell me I just say a thing, how all of that affects our culture. We're going to have that conversation. We're looking at have conversations. We're looking at having sessions. We're looking at having a launch of the campaign where we have some buzzwords. We look at some key messages. We will eventually be able to get everybody involved, whether by the way of seminars. We're looking to engage our integrity advocates. We have some integrity advocates now. We have some schools that we have some integrity clubs in. We're hoping to revitalize the integrity clubs using the message so that they can go out and spread the message in their families. And generally, to get people involved, we want to be able to give people the information so that they can start asking JAMP through the use of JAMP's tools to ask the members of parliament what you think. Would you support such a legislation? That's the initiative that we're working on now. And if we can do a little bit more of that and people become engaged in the process, then we'll develop participation and people learn how to participate in making a change like that.
I look forward to see you on TikTok for one of
Me?
my senses. Yes,
Me?
I look forward.
You realize
Yes,
that I don't have no social media presence.
Well, we want to ensure that
We just sold a hard a while ago. You mean say you put me on TikTok? And I mean say you put me on TikTok, right? All right, two of them are the same thing.
Right.
Not quite.
I completely disappeared from that picture. You realize?
I saw you.
Let me do it again.
So then if you're afraid of just TikTok with
I'm not afraid of
Jamaica.
TikTok. I'm not afraid of TikTok. I just don't use social media because we don't get enough time to talk. And people take a bit of your message and run with it. And you get to they do the same thing when I do an interview with you. So I'm putting on my big girl shoes. Yes, Jamaica. I will join you on TikTok whenever you're ready.
All right, sounds good then.
So I'm back in the picture.
You have a few platforms to go on because you still have to go on a night shift and with me. Yeah. And then people, so don't worry about it. You're going to be doctoring up this thing. You're going to heal the nation in many ways and people in the diaspora. Because with me,
well, guess what? It doesn't matter how we do the advocacy, and that's one of the things I want people to understand. Advocacy is not just coming on TikTok or coming on the Rebel Show. Advocacy is a conversation that you have in the bar. A lot of people lime at the bar, they go to the clubs. Evening time, you come in from work and you come out to the taxi and you stand up on the corner and you talk to your neighbor. And then the kind of conversations we need to have. That's how you do advocacy. And then you move that advocacy now to the end of the road where you call the neighbor and say, say something serious are going on here. So then you rob a man on your back last night, and you decide what you're going to do. How you're going to get active. What are you going to do in the community? That's advocacy. And so one of the things we want coming out of this anti-bribery campaign is for people to get information and people to feel free to share this information in a manner that they ultimately hold their members of parliament accountable. Because if you decide as a community that this is something that you want to make Jamaica better, Trump is talking about making America great again. We are just concerned. We're not concerned about again. Jamaica has always been great. It's being able to ensure that Jamaica remains great. That's what we do. And we have greatness, and we've always have greatness within us. And whether we take it into the community or you take it to TikTok, I want people to start talking about corruption in the same way that we talk about red stripe, and we have that conversation where we talk about doing things the right way. We don't hitch. We just understand sacrifice. But just like the football, when you hitch and you catch a goal, sometimes you drop, sometimes you shadow a man. That is what corruption is all about. Being able to play the game, but to play the game according to the rules. Because if you don't comply with the rules in the game of football, you're going to have issues. You're going to get called out.
Daniel, fortunately I was muted. Come here, I did with laugh when you say you're no nurse. When Kevin said ever come to the night.
Sorry, but you a night shift. Me not do no job. We have night shift. Me no journalist. Me no nurse.
But somebody in the chat just say, where is it? Oh, Lawrence, him says she win even if she run backwards.
I remember say Gregory Isaac sings night nurse.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay, guys.
I got it in my head.
So,
yeah. Oh, yes.
Daniel, before Kevin asks his question, Kevin asked a question, but I want you to think about this, Daniel. Just tell people how they can get involved with NIA and the anti-bribery campaign, please. But Kevin,
All right,
go ahead.
so by the end of March, we're gonna be launching the anti-bribery campaign. So listen out for the information on that, and you'll get the information as it relates to what we're gonna be unfolding. By that time, we'll upload to our social media pages. Yes, Kevin, we have social media page, and we're gonna put everything on
Really?
Instagram. So the NIA page will be updated to facilitate the campaign. So if you keep watching the boring pages now, we're gonna make sure that they're lively up after, and so you'll be able to get some information from there. And you can watch the papers. We'll be in the mass media. We're gonna be on social media, and of course, if there is some place that you want Daniel to speak at, you want me to come and talk to your community about the campaign, about what you can do to make Jamaica great and to keep great from the tentacles of corruption, it's 876-564-5154. You can reach out, send a message, more likely send a message because sometimes we're unable to answer the phone. I don't know the office number offhand because it's been done for some time. So if you use that cell number, you should be able to reach me or somebody from the office, and we'll do this thing together. So we're working with JAM. We're working with the neighborhood watches, so you can reach out to the president as well. We want to come into your community. When you're having a round robin, I mean, I won't be able to drink as much as you expect me to, but I can round robin and give you a talk because I saw we're gonna do the thing. We're meeting you where you are, because if you don't understand how to hold your members of parliament accountable in one area, we're gonna lose an entire generation who will not be able to understand that members of parliament work for me. They earn money because I pay the taxes or I allow you to be in office. And so you can't tell me you're not going to parliament, and you can't tell me you're not going to pass legislation that is beneficial to me, because if you don't, you're not going to pass the doors of parliament without seeing my face outside.
Kevin.
No, man. Let me ask my question when you were frozen. No worries.
Okay. Daniel, before you go, somebody asked, a very dear friend of mine asked, is there an integrity club at UTech?
No.
Do you know?
We used to have one. There was one up at UE as well. If you're interested in starting one, reach out to us and we'll do our best.
Oh, Daniel got frozen. No.
Cold front, Jamaica.
Yeah. Christopher, link me later. Maybe
the flying horse.
Oh, Pegasus, I work on the other side now. Daniel, I don't know if you can hear us. But folks, here's a yeah, try bring her on.
Oh, no, I can't get that. She frozen her side. There's nothing I can do.
Nothing I can do. All right, folks, here's what happened. As you can tell, Danielle is a breath of fresh air. She's a vivacious. She's an assertive. I won't use the word aggressive. She's an assertive woman. She's comfortable in her skin. She knows who she is and what she's about. And I just hope that what I saw in her from the very first interview we did together, because both of us were being interviewed, I hope that you now see the same things that I saw back then. And I hope we take pride in knowing that Jamaica, we're still in good hands because of people like Danielle, people like the Auditor General, people like Jeanette, people like Rosalia, people like Miss Pike, that there's much to be excited about in Jamaica. Much to be. It's not all gloom and doom. We have people out there doing the people's work. And I know she's gone now. I don't know if she's listening to me or not, but I just want to thank her from the bottom of my heart for coming on today and exposing herself to a new audience, because I suspect that most of you, and I'm getting a lot of text messages, most of you have never heard of her, or if you have heard of her, you've never seen her in this kind of a forum. But she's one dynamic woman. I'm telling you, folks. And And believe me, she'll keep her word. Jamaica, she will be with you on TikTok. Kevin, she'll be your night. No, she will no, she will come on at night. She'll come on at night. She's not a night nurse, but she'll come on at night, right? To talk up the things for you. Like she said, once you start talking about and you can see she can't contain herself because she's just bubbling with energy and enthusiasm for Jamaica. And like she said, the biggest thing you can do to her is that, yes, Jamaica. Big up Jamaica. That's it. So by Danielle, big up yourself if you can hear me. And again, thank you for coming on. You have made us smarter this evening, and you'll be smarter every time I see you talk to you. All right,
Clive. Sorry, I can't put up our number. I didn't catch it. But don't worry, you can visit NIA,
National Integrity Action.
Yeah, and reach out to her there.
Yeah, Mike Reed said bring her back, of course, but I can't bring her back until she go up on Jamaica's program and she go up on Kevin's program. So she'll come on at night.
But she's just an amazing Jamaican, and her fire is just contagious. Trust and believe, man. If you cannot be proud of anything in Jamaica, be proud of these women that are coming up and standing up for a just cause. And she's just the epitome of what it means to stand up for your country.
Yeah. Next week, folks, what we're going to do, we're going to break down the DPP, that incident regarding the GLC, the General Legal Counsel, what they've sent to me. Apparently, they had a meeting today, and they tell me last night that they have a meeting today, and that's not how it's supposed to be done. That's not enough time for me to prepare myself and get ready for, push forward with the prosecution of this lady. And when I say prosecution, it's not a criminal prosecution. I just use prosecution in the sense that I'm the complainant, and I just want to make sure that justice is done by her, and also by Jamaica, because we may have some people in prison. We don't know. We may have some people in prison who, as a result of her actions, they're innocently they're there. We don't know, right? And that's what this is all about. We want to know.